second wave of locust invasion in the county of Wajir is more devastating than the previous invasion last year. Well, since January, millions of locusts have been invading farmlands as well as destroying pasture, creating fear among farmers and pastoralists about a possible shortage of food that will affect residents and the livestock. Well, efforts to eradicate four most active swarms in the county include aerial spraying and tracking using mobile phone technology. But will these efforts succeed? In our special feature, Wings of Calamity, Nimrod Tabu reports on the day and night fight against one of the most destructive insects in the world.
While it's moving to get more energy, it is also eating.
Livestock now will not have anything to rely on.
The damage is millions of Kenya shillings.
Wajir, 30 kilometers from Wajir town in the county of Wajir. It is a race against time. Our driver maneuvers sharp corners. Inside the vehicle we are tense. The speed of the vehicle is numbing, but we have to be fast. Without this speed, we are likely to miss our chase. Some few minutes later, we arrive at this open field. The air above us is completely covered by swarms of millions of locusts. Their wings are flapping fast, making an irritating buzzing sound. Mama Abdia is busy trying to chase the insects away. She is using a rudimentary method that many in this county have had to employ for the past 1 year. This is the 90th swarm of locusts to have been documented in the county of Wajir since the locust invasion early last year. Those who have been tracking them have been engaged in a cat and mouse chase for months now. Tracking these insects is one tedious errand. The swarm we are after is now flying to Barmesi, some 40 kilometers from here. We are then told another swarm has been located near Lake Bor. Our team leader is the county director in charge of locust control in the county of Wajir. His day job includes tracking the locusts, taking pictures, sensitizing the community, as well as coordinating the eradication efforts.
There's another one now here in Lake Bor. Lake Bor is around 20 kilometers from Wajir. So this one is gone. While we are following this one, let us go for this one again.
Soon we are off again. It takes us close to 30 minutes before we spot something that resembles smoke up in the air. The locusts are moving at high speed and the wind is pushing them farther away, we are told. Once in Lake Bor area, we come face to face with the hoppers that have been causing havoc and giving the locals sleepless nights. And because evening is fast approaching, we learn that the locusts have identified this spot and will rest here for the night. That means they will be eating away any vegetation in sight before night falls. It is here that we experience firsthand the destructive nature of these swarms. They perch on branches and leaves in groups of 4s and 5s or even 6. They rapidly gobble every available shoot and leaf, the same vegetation that the pastoralists in Wajir so desperately depend on for their livestock. Desert locusts have often been called the world's most devastating pests, and for a good reason. Swarms form when locust numbers increase and they become crowded. This causes a switch from a relatively harmless solitary phase to a gregarious sociable phase. In this phase, the insects are able to multiply 20-fold in just 3 months and reach densities of up to 80 million per square kilometer. Each can consume 2 grams of vegetation every day. That means a swarm of 80 million can consume food equivalent to that eaten by 35,000 people per day. And they can travel up to 150 kilometers per day. In 2020, locusts have swarmed in large numbers in dozens of countries including Kenya, Ethiopia, Uganda, Somalia, Eritrea, India, Pakistan, Iran, Yemen, Oman and even Saudi Arabia. When swarms affect several countries at once in very large numbers, it is known as a plague. This is February 2021, and while many parts of the country have been able to eradicate these insects, Wajir County has continued to attract swarms upon swarms.
By the end of the day, you should be able to get it again.
Yeah, so that at least we monitor the spraying.
Yeah, tomorrow. So let us now go for the next one.
Yeah.
Just here, it's almost, from here is around 10 kilometers from here.
As we film those that have perched on vegetation, another swarm passes by. It is the third swarm we are seeing in just under an hour. For the locals, this means disaster.
In the morning we must be able to come 8 of them so that we can be able, the spray team will be there. Before the spray starts, there's also the surveillance helicopter which will come first.
After marking the location and sending coordinates to his partners, the team leader says the insects will be sprayed at dawn. Hopefully, they will still be here, he quickly adds. As we leave this area, we come across herders and their livestock. They are heading to another location where pasture has not been destroyed by the locusts. These cows appear to be healthy, at least for now. But once the vegetation is destroyed by the locusts, the herders know too well that life will change drastically. Even the beasts of the desert will not be spared either. Camels are known as browsers. They chew on shrubs, leaves and cactus. But in Wajir, cactus plants are not easily available, so they rely on this shrub vegetation, which is fast being consumed by locusts. For the pastoralists, tough times lie ahead. The drought season is fast approaching. We leave Lake Bor just as night begins to fall. We will return in the morning when spraying begins. The following day, we head back to Barmis. The swarm has not flown away, but spraying cannot take place before local residents are informed about the presence of the locusts and instructed to temporarily leave their homesteads, together with their little livestock momentarily. Wajir International Airport, and here we catch up with a team of pilots whose responsibility is to spray the locusts. This team has been contracted by the Food and Agriculture Organization and other local partners, including the county government of Wajir, to help control the locust invasion. The yellow light aircraft next to the helicopter is the most important piece of machinery in the entire locust eradication exercise. A serviceman loads up close to 1,000 liters of pesticide into a tank located next to the aircraft's engine. This is the liquid responsible for disabling and killing the insects. In just a short while, the two aircrafts will be up in the sky. Marcus Stan is a pilot working with Farmland Aviation. He takes me through the stages of loading up the dangerous pesticide into the aircraft. The pesticide then goes down these pipes that are fixed near the aircraft's wings. It is here that the pesticide will get discharged once the plane is airborne. Marcus says everything is done with precision with the help of computers.
We pump in a predetermined amount that will be enough for what was on the menu for spraying today.
And how much would that normally be?
Probably around about 1,000 litres. About 1,000 litres will be going. But if we have to, we can. This airplane is able to carry 2,500 litres. But it's unusual that we get swarms that size.
It has been 1 year now since Marcus and his colleagues started battling locusts in Wajir, but there seems to be no end in sight.
Kwa hivyo ni kazi ambayo hamjui mtaimaliza lini?
Hata itaenda miaka na miaka. Haki. We'll wait and see. Next year we will have the same.
Kuna uwezekano wewe kusema kwamba tutamaangamiza hawa kufikia muda fulani?
Nani najua. Hii sio area yao. Kwao ni Somalia, Ethiopia, Yemen, Saudi. Hata pande yetu now we've got them on our second or third generation homebred.
Na kitu gani kinafanya safari hii ionekane kwamba wanakuja upande huu? Kwa sababu hakuna chakula ama
upepo.
The surveillance helicopter takes off just as Marcus's aircraft has been fully loaded with the liquid pesticide. Marcus will wait until he gets a signal and coordinates from the surveillance crew before liftoff. On this day, another fixed-wing light aircraft is joining in the surveillance. It will be a long day for Marcus. After receiving his alert and coordinates, Marcus heads to the cockpit. The aircraft can only accommodate one person. Soon, Marcus gives us a thumbs up and is ready for takeoff. The coordination, however, has to be swift. Residents must vacate their homes temporarily once they have spotted locusts and sent out information before aerial spraying can take place.
Coordinates are very important. So we go straight to target area. You assess, you fly around, you assess there's no stock, there's no villages nearby. Considering the wind direction, you don't want somebody and his stock downwind. And if that is, that's where the helicopter comes in. We say, no, we can't work here at the moment. Helicopter will have to land and advise the locals to move.
From a distance, it appeared as though Marcus was working on a horticultural field. The field completely enveloped by millions and millions of red-colored locusts. For more than 20 minutes, we watched as Marcus sprayed several hectares of land that had been infested by the locusts. Sadly, the locusts will not die immediately. The pesticide only takes effect after 2 or 3 days.
Mortality rate starts pretty much after application, and it runs for about 3 days. So a lot of them die there on the spot, but the majority, if they're starting to fly, will actually die further down the line. So about 3 days you've got.
Abdi Gulet is the chief of Barmesa location. He recounts how the locusts first arrived in the area in July last year. But the recent invasion, he says, is more catastrophic than last year's.
Leo tulikuwa huko sio? Jioni inaweza kuwa hata tena mara mbili mara tatu kwa day.
Kwa nini safari hii imekuwa mingi?
Hii ni amri ya Mungu, sisi hatujui. Sababu hata wakati tulikuwa tunapeleka training wa mwalimu alituambia February na around January na February ndio inakuwa mingi. Hii kitu inaweza kuwa mingi. Sababu inaleta upepo zaidi.
Na inatokea sehemu gani?
Hii kitu anatoka sehemu mahali inaitwa Yemen. Vile umetufundishwa. Yemen inapitia Ethiopia, inaingia Somalia, alafu inaingia Kenya sasa.
These vast lands were once covered in lush green leaves and branches, but once the locust invaded an area, vegetation changes within minutes. Oxfam is one of the organizations that have played a key role in combating the swarms.
85% of this population in Wajir County rely on livestock. And the livestock, if these insects will continue like this, and if here, yesterday we were here, it is completely green, and this morning we come and find completely dry, then livestock now will not have anything to rely on. And the local community who have been relying on the livestock now will also have a challenge. So in terms of food security, I can say there is a high danger ahead.
These organizations also monitor the movement of locusts and have volunteers who give information about the type and size of the swarms.
It's very difficult because most of the community volunteers, they use their own motorbikes. Sometimes they travel far distance places with their motorbikes without even having fuel sometimes. So it's a bit challenging because in the logistics part it's a very challenging, because sometimes you have been told that there is a locust found in 5 kilometers from where you are. Volunteers don't have any other means. Sometimes they use their own motorbikes.
One of the most important things is first, we sensitize the community on the relevance of monitoring the locust itself. We've identified community volunteers in each and every village, trained them on how to use the mobile phones in capturing the details, the position, GPS, and also take the photo. This information normally is transferred to the main server that's being managed by the FAO and the government of Kenya. And these teams, the control team, use this information to make an informed decision and move towards spraying.
Monitoring includes downloading an app on one's mobile phone. The app, known as eLoc, provides the user with the opportunity to take pictures of the locusts and send information to the monitoring teams. The information on the app also includes possible leads on where the locusts originate from, where they have been spotted before, and the swarms that have been dealt with before.
And as we are talking this morning, we have sprayed 4 swarms this morning. I think we have witnessed also a part of it. And this afternoon, already 2 more swarms have joined us. As we are reporting now, we are still expecting that. So this is a destructive thing. It's something that moves. It moves from 8 in the morning up to 6:30 to 7 in the afternoon. It rosts in the night. As it's roasting, it's eating. As it's moving, flying, it's also eating.
Once the spraying is completed, we move closer to the vegetation that had been targeted. And just like before, the millions of locusts are still munching away and flying to the nearby bushes. The pesticide is yet to take effect, but not for long. This country has never experienced something like this, where you have millions, if not billions, of swarms of locusts that are invading farmlands and vegetation all over this county in Wajir. As you can see, these are new types of locusts that have arrived here from the neighboring Somalia and even Ethiopia. They're different in color from the original ones that came here that were yellow in color. These ones seem to be a bit pink or reddish towards the head and then gray towards the tails. We've seen swarms and swarms of millions of these locusts, and what they're leaving here is just nothing but a trail of destruction. After several minutes, some of the locusts begin to die. They would hop for a while, fidget on the ground and attempt to take off, but die off in the end. Millions others, however, will hop around for the next day or 2 before the pesticide kicks in. But the greatest hope for the team is that the insects will die before laying eggs. Not so far away at Tula Shopping Center, residents describe to us just how devastating the invasion has been. From late last year to early this year, Wajir experienced some little rainfall and residents here hoped for a modest crop, but their hopes were dashed immediately when new locust swarms were spotted. Kaltuma Omar is one of the 3,000 people who live in Tula village. She says the invasion has affected both humans and livestock alike. She and many others are lucky to be part of the cash transfer program being undertaken by Oxfam in the region. And for now, that is all she depends on.
Mama amesema kwamba hiyo kwanza anasema anathank kwa hao watu wenye wameleta hiyo kitu. Alafu amesema yeye amefaidika kwa 20,000. Anasema hiyo 20,000 yeye wakati amefikiria sana, amesema ameona tatizo kubwa ambaye iko kwa hii town ambaye ni ukosefu wa maji.
She has been receiving over 4,000 shillings every month for the last 6 months. She is hoping the program will continue so that she can complete constructing her underground water storage area. She wants to sell water to her neighbors once the storage is complete. Farming is not an option for as long as the locusts are still here.
Mama amesema locust kwanza hapa kijiji imekuja mara 2. Kwanza wanasema kijiji wanakwanga na chamba kidogo kidogo, hizo hata mashamba kidogo zimeenda na hiyo nyasi kile kitu amekula.
67-year-old Ibrahim Mohammed has lived in Tula village for 22 years now. Since last year, he has been losing livestock because of lack of pasture. His livestock has been forced to compete for food with locusts, he tells me.
He said he used to have animals in this village. There were 20 number. So the effect of locust, now the locust came and ate all the pastures. So now the animals became very weak and they died. So through that now, they were Oxfam and Wajir came. They were enrolled in the cash transfer program. They were getting 4,111 shillings for 6 months.
Without the program, he says, he would have been forced to move elsewhere. Ibrahim has lost 20 goats already. He is nearing the point of despair. Not far from here, Abdi Kontoma, a humanitarian working with Oxfam, is holding a small baraza with elderly women and men. The talk here is about cash transfers and the locust invasion. The elderly people are soliciting for more funds, saying the locust invasion has made them paupers.
The best thing to do is usually cash transfers. We want to move away and encourage everyone to move away from distributing food, whether you're a politician or development organization who is interested to help, give people cash. Because what that does is it helps to stimulate the local markets. So you're injecting money into the local economy.
Pastoralists are not the only ones experiencing the negative impact of the second wave of locust invasion. Farmers who only recently turned to crop farming are the worst hit. Abdia Hassan just recently started farming. According to the area chief, Abdia was supplying food to nearly the entire Tula Tula location. On her 5-acre piece of land, she had planted bananas, onions, mangoes, pawpaws, spring onions, cabbages, among others. Her neighbors used to come here and get astonished by her efforts, but all that is now part of a sad story replicated all across this land.
Things were going normal. As you see, most of these people are locally. They are not so civilized inside of farm. Some even come here and say, what is this? They even wonder with this big tree, which is also banana. Unless you tell them this banana, they don't know. Mango is the same case. As you can see, this part as a whole was onion and the cabbage. And now you can see there's nothing here.
Abdia shows me some of the locusts that caused havoc on her farm. She will keep the carcass as a reminder of what many here term as the plague. The locust did some severe damage, she tells me in Somali. Once the leaves were eaten, the plants stopped growing, she says. The area chief says this farm was invaded twice in a span of 1 week. The response by the monitoring teams was not as swift. The locusts were sprayed with pesticide the second time they invaded the farm. That's when they disappeared.
Mama amepata hasara kusema kweli. Because kwa hii mwaka alikuwa anangoja vile nimesema, pesa yake ambayo alikuwa anangoja ni almost 850,000. Lakini saa hii hakuna kitu. Ukiangalia hii tank, hapa hakuna kisima. Hii tank wanatumiwa kuwekwa water tracking ambayo pa gari inakuwa 7,000 kuweka hapa.
So analipishwa.
Na kijana ambaye anachunga hapa anashukwanga 10,000 kwa mwezi.
Abdia tells me she will carry on farming despite her losses. She wants her community to equally remain resilient. For the county government, this is now a big challenge. If food cannot be safeguarded from the locusts, then local residents will continue to import food from other regions, making it expensive to feed families.
Kwa wakati hii, fedha ile ingepatiwa Department of Agriculture, Livestock, Irrigation and Fisheries zimeenda kwa surveillance na control. Magari zinataka mafuta, lazima ujue mahali hiyo nzige inalala usiku. Magari zinaenda kutafuta, istafu wanaingilia, wananchi pia wanafanya kazi mzuri sana.
We were planning to do other things for, instead of, locust control, we were supposed to provide other services such as water, provision of health. So we had to change, we had to, commit some funds to fight this disaster. So it means therefore our budget is affected. And as a result, it will mean underdevelopment.
We have to stop looking at climate change as an ASAL issue. It's not an ASAL issue. It's a whole of Kenya issue. It's a very global issue. And it's an existential crisis that we are facing. And so when you look at the locust, COVID-19, droughts and floods, it basically comes down to a bit of climate change effects.
20 kilometers from Wajir town, I meet Mohammed Ali, one of the few successful farmers in Wajir County. His farm has food crops that are nothing but breathtaking, especially in this part of the country.
Na hii mambo ya farming, nilikuwa na dream miaka mingi. Lakini hii sasa niko tu just 1 year. Ndio sasa mimi niko tu kwa hii shamba.
He said he got into farming because of personal health issues.
Mimi mwenyewe I'm a blood pressure case. So kwa soko wakati naenda, mimi nilikuwa natafuta tu exactly the organic. So na hiyo organic sasa kama huwezi toka kwa shamba yako, ni kuomba tu ama ni siku nyingine kupata pesa ukununua, ukikosa ni zero. So sasa ile nimeweka kwa nia vile nimepata kwa hii pressure, ndio sasa nimesema I must use an organic.
Mohammed practices irrigation farming because Wajir lacks sufficient water. He has more than 2 boreholes on the farm. Daily, his workers water the plants under his supervision. The crops found in this farm include spinach, kales, cabbages, capsicum, plantain, mangoes, watermelon, pawpaws, chilies, among others. He is also a keen poultry farmer, but now the locust threat looms large here. Most of his harvests end up at the Wajir food market. He spends money from the farm to pay his workers, but the damage and losses as a result of the locust invasion almost brought him to his knees.
Hasara ilikuwa mingi because mahali sahi tunasimama mimi nimeweka almost 950 trees ya bye. Now hii ndogo unaona ni replacement. Ile ingine yote imeenda. And my hope that time was kuendelea tu mpaka 2000 trees. Lakini sasa nimerudi chini. Hii nimeweka tu kidogo lakini sijalose hope.
Tuko na wasiwasi kwa maana hazijulikani zinaweza pita maybe tena zirudi wakati mwingine hivyo.
A few farmers who were initially pastoralists who decided to settle and grow some crops in around Wajir town, the crops were destroyed completely by this locust. As a result, people were already food insecure. Now, food insecurity is so much, affected to the extent that poverty and food insecurity has reached maximum.
The county government fears that the continuous invasion might discourage many people from turning to farming.
As soon as they are sighted somewhere, this locust, they are chased away. But unfortunately, we chase them and then they go to the neighboring county. From neighboring county, it goes to another neighboring county in Kenya. And as a result, the whole of the country is affected, especially our food basket areas. So this one has a very big effect on the national economy, and we would like something done about it.
Mohammed is categorical though. The invasion will not discourage him from farming.
I myself, I don't want to run. Hiyo kitu hata ikiendelea mwezi moja, because I don't have any other business. I must stick, because ile nia nimeweka ni kufanya shamba. So sitaki kutoroka. Bado tunangojea ikule niweke nione sasa mahali nitafika.
So far, over 800,000 hectares of pasture land has been affected by the locusts, while over 300,000 hectares of farmland has also been damaged by the same locust in the whole of Wajir County.
In that way, and the way the support current tunapata, tunaamini ya kwamba tutangana nayo paka misho. Kitu moja ambayo inatuweza sana ni ya kwamba hii nzige inatoka sio kwa inazaliwa kwa nchi, inatoka mahali zingine. Na hiyo mahali zingine sio mahali ambayo control inafanywa.
Generally, we also have a challenge in terms of resource mobilization in the larger northern counties. Our own source of revenue generation is a problem, is a challenge. So we only depend, majorly we depend on the money that we receive from the National Treasury. So that amounts to a challenge where we cannot respond to all challenges or all emergencies that happen within the counties.
The county government of Wajir receives at least 10 billion shillings from the National Treasury each year. This money is for development in various sectors, but with the coming of the locusts, the county has been forced to shelve some of its projects in order to deal with the invasion.
Let us have a proper strategy where we can fight this locust at the source. If it is within Kenya, they should go to Kenya-Somali border here. Wajir, Garissa, and Mandera. At least we can contain the locusts there, kill many of them, and the few that are left will be cleared as they go and reach Garissa or somewhere in Kitui.
A real and present danger for a region that continues to struggle with years of underdevelopment. The latest wings of calamity only making an already bad situation even more dire. Nimro Tabu, Citizen TV, in the county of Wajir.